How would you react to a law that requires seniors over 70 to pass a specialized driving exam to continue driving legally? Absolutely. Aside from 16-year-olds, they are the highest risk group. I would find it neat if regular testing would occur for everyone, not just for elderly people. Too many people don't know how to drive. This BBC article, https://www.bbc.com/news/magazine-242044489, may be helpful. That I realize that the statistics are both for the UK, and difficult to interpret on their own. The chart is based on total population, and I think there are fewer 70-plus drivers than 20 to 29 drivers. But a quick search suggests that 70-plus drivers have more accidents, per 1,000, than middle-aged drivers. That if we really wanted to cut down on accidents, we'd require more stringent testing for young people. But mandating testing for older people, who are likely to experience some kind of decrease in their reflexes and mobility, wouldn't be unreasonable. The underlying problem is we built a society where independent living is nigh impossible without access to an automobile. Unless elders get a subsidized Uber Eats-esque service for turning in their license, it's objectively just making their lives worse, so it's unlikely to be a popular law. I'm 65 and dispute a great driving record all my life. I feel my skills slipping. Especially my focus. I think a test is a good idea. Why pick an arbitrary age? How about requiring a retest for anyone with a moving violation or at-fault insurance claim? I'm all for it. Their eyes and hearing are obviously worse and they don't have great reaction time. Driving is a privilege, not a right. I would support it, but only if there was a simultaneous overhaul of the entire licensing process. It's far too easy in the US for a 16-year-old to get a license for a multi-ton piece of machinery. All you have to do is look at the correlation between stricter European standards and how many accidents they have proportional to the population. On the flip side, we should have something in place to make sure that everyone is fit and able to operate said multi-ton machinery. But alas, our country is far too car-centric, and that would amount to denying or significantly raising the barrier of entry to transportation for tons of people, which would be political suicide for whichever politician pushes it. A driving exam every 10 years would be more effective, I think. Even though logistically pretty expensive. I've had cab drivers who absolutely should not be driving. My most controversial opinion is that I think we should retest anyone with a driver's licenses every 5 years. Hand in hand with that, I think we should expand public transit specifically so that driver's license requirements can be much more stringent without preventing people from getting to work or the store. In favor. Neuropathy, peripheral vision, and reaction time should all be part of the test. I'd raise it to like 78, but I'd be for it despite the political minefield it would be. I'm all for requiring regular re-examination for all drivers. The nonsense that I see on the roads on a daily basis is just insane. That fact that, despite huge advances in automotive safety over the years, there are 36,000 plus traffic fatalities in the US each year tells you all you need to know about the competence of the typical driver. Illinois does this. My mom has to take a yearly driving test. Would fuck over so much of the American population that doesn't live in an urban area, as our country is backwards and you have to have a car to do anything. AI answer for the US, crashes per year by age group. According to the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety and Industry data, 16-17 years old, 1 for 32 crashes, most involved age group, teens crash at nearly 6 times the rate of the safest drivers, 0.18, 19 years old, 730 crashes, 0.20, 24 years old, 572 crashes, 0.25, 69 years old, 241 to 526 crashes. The 60 to 69 demographic represents the safest drivers on the road, 0.70, 79 years old, 301 crashes, 0.80 plus years old, 432 crashes. I think driving tests should be at 16, 18, 21, 25, then every 5 years until 70, and then move to a 2-year schedule. Also, I am in favor of having mandatory forward, interior, and rear view cameras in the vehicle of anyone 16 to 25 and 70 plus to track things like speed, ability to maneuver the vehicle on the road, and awareness, that way the DOT can judge whether or not someone is a hazard on the road. Of course, that is perfect world scenario and will never happen because that will be seen as an invasion of privacy, and also who wants to pay to fund these things. Absolutely. But if we do that, we also need to find a way to fund affordable transportation for them for things such as appointments, groceries, religious services, days out, etc. I don't believe they should lose independence, but we should consider the safety of others. And if they are able to pass, wonderful, and they get to keep their license another year. Here in Illinois my grandpa had to do it every year after 75. I think I'd just like seniors to make sure that they keep on top of having their eyes and hearing tested. But not just seniors tbh, everyone should do this, so that you either know you are okay on your own or you wear the appropriate contact lenses/glasses/hearing aids to help you. Honestly, it needs to apply to all ages. Anyone can drive, but few know regulations of the road and traffic laws. I'm 68 years old and this law makes sense to me. No. I support giving that exam every 5 years for everyone, though. I'd support it, but probably want it to be age 75 or 80. I'm over 70. I'll take your test that I drive on the road, so I know a few things about other drivers. People under 70 ought to retake this test, too. I'm 68, my husband is 73. One ticket for each of us about 40 years ago. So, if an elderly person has accidents or tickets, yes, by all means. If they are like me and my husband who are excellent drivers, no. What I do think is that number 16-year-old should be handed a license and set free with it. Facts. While teens cause more crashes due to inexperience and reckless behavior, drivers over 80 have higher fatal crash rates per mile driven due to physical frailty and intersection navigation difficulties. That's over 80, not 70. Definitely. I had to take the keys from my mother with Alzheimer's a few years ago. If I hadn't done so, she'd still be driving. The DMV kept renewing her license via the mail. It's crazy. I would not only be okay with this, but also for people who are diagnosed with things like hepatic encephalopathy. As soon as the diagnosis is made, it should trigger an automatic report to the DMV to temporarily or permanently restrict the license. Absolutely support it. Old people getting a hindrance is not a valid reason to accept additional dangers on the road. If they aren't a danger, then the extra test is no issue and they'll pass. If they are a danger, then it is what it is. Good thing a lot of those wealthy boomers have money to buy a self-driving car. I would wonder how Congress got it done. Good luck. Most motivated voting bloc in the entire fucking country will more than happily torch your entire family to the ground if you try. Yeah, probably a good thing, though I doubt it ever happens. I think you should have retake the test every time you renew your driver's license. That would be every 10 years where I live. Don't make it seniors only. Everyone should have to retest, written and driving, every 2 or so years. Works for me, and it won't be all that long before I'd have to take the test.